Hello, Blitz fans of all ages. It's me, Plumcastle, here going over everything that happened in Update 8.4 and as well some leaks that we should see come around at some point. Now, first off, you can probably tell that this is not the garage that you've been looking at lately, and that's because I went into the game files and I actually found the Halloween event garage and then went ahead and tweaked some files so that we could take a look at it here. It's basically what we've been seeing in Wargaming's videos, but still it's cool that it's actually in the game. In fact, you can even see there's a sneak peek of one of the new tanks in the right side of the screen, but we'll talk about those statistics a little bit later. First, we're actually going to do a brief overview of the stuff that we can see in here. Now, of course, at the top is Wargaming's official video, but I'm going to be going a little bit more in depth here. So, of course, the Polish heavies were added. Again, I will look at those in a second. There are some new camos that we can expect to see around Halloween time. One of them being the Spooky Web, Pumpkin Mayhem, Pumpkin Spice, Scary Swarm, Spider Trap, I think that is, and then again Spooky Web. Now, I think at least some of these are older camos, so not surprising that they would come around this time. Now, I'm thinking, and I cannot figure out why they're talking about the Bulwark camo for the T110E3 because that came in last update, so not really sure what's going on there. However, some actually new camos would be the Piranha camo for the T95E6, and for the AMX30B, it got, and I don't quite know how to pronounce this, the Corsica camouflage. I'm not really sure, and there were some advancements. Some new tanks got PBR texture files and things like that, and general tweaking of some of the statistics. If you really want to see, you can go ahead and look in there and just find them. Now, there was one more camo that they completely forgot to mention, and that was the Unity camouflage for the M4 Sherman. I don't have the M4 Sherman, so I can't show the camouflage, unfortunately, but just look online. I'm sure you could easily find a resource for that there. So now let's talk about the new tanks that came into the game. For us, it's the Polish, the Polish tanks, if I can find them right here. We got the 40 TP. Now, I'm not going to go into the statistics of these. You can probably find them online, or if you want a video of me going around in training rooms actually talking about the statistics of these tanks, just let me know and I can try to make that. So there is the I think it's the 40 TP Havika. I'm not really sure how to pronounce the second name in there, but after that we have the tier 7, and that's the 45 TP Havika. And again, these are all PBR texture filed, so they're in good graphics wise. Now, I think I'm probably looking at the stock configurations of these because I don't actually own them, but still we can at least get a general idea of what we're going to be running into. There's also the 53 TP, and I'm not really sure what that name is. Markowskio. I know I've heard these names, but I'm not really sure. And wow, this thing, if you're gonna be running into this thing stock, you're probably just gonna laugh because that looks pretty dumb. But anyway, we're moving on from the tier 8 onto the tier 9, which is the 50 TP. Now, there was the 50 TP for the event, but that was the 50 TP prototype. This is now the 50 TP. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it's the tier 9 TP. It looks very similar to the 50 TP prototype, but you can definitely see it's just a tiny bit different, and it actually has PBR texture files, which the other one didn't. And of course, after tier 9, we go into the tier 10, which there are already some reviews on. However, like I said, if you want me to go into a training room and kind of mess around with these, just mention that in the comments. So now this is the tier 10. Honestly, I think it looks the coolest. It looks very unique, and this is the 60 TP, and I think that's Lewandowski. I don't know. I'm really bad at pronouncing those, but anyway, that is the tier 10. Now, let's actually talk about what you're probably really wanting to hear, and those are the statistics for the new Halloween tanks. Now, but before we get to that, I do want to mention there were three new tanks that would be coming. One was this tank right here, and that's the Lansen C. This is a Swedish premium tank that I believe just entered testing. As well, there's also an American tank that entered testing, and that is this one right here. As once I can find it. I believe it's a tier 9. The Concept 1B, as you can see here. Both of them have PBR files. You can see the Concept looks very weird, to say the least, but I believe it's so it's a collector tank. Not sure. It'll probably come in either an event or be part of the store. But again, I believe it's just in testing for the time being. There should be the next battle pass, which is the Spark here. And this is, I forget the name. It's like the T25, if I can find it here. It is the Skoda T25. So yeah, there was a tier 5 T25, but this is essentially the special version of the Skoda T25 for Twister season, I believe, the Twister Battle Pass or whatever the thing is going to be. But you can see it looks a little interesting. Got the shadow right on it, unfortunately. But you can see there those PBR texture files, unless the tank is actually bent like that, you can see it's actually got some nice detailing, and it looks like the tank is actually detailed in that way, which is kind of rare for Wargaming to go into that much detail. But like I was saying, now let's get on to the new tanks. Now, I got to remember where to find these because T35. And here we go. The Titan Mark 1, or I think it's the Titan Mark Medium. Not quite sure, but we can see here. I'm not going to go into the statistics yet. I will probably go into the statistics of the tier 7 that you should be able to get during the event. But right now, we're just looking at the smaller vehicle here and then moving on to the larger one. So again, it has the PBR texture files. It looks very nice. It's definitely following along this scheme that the current Battle Pass tank has. But now, enough of that tank. Let's actually move on to the main thing that you're probably all waiting for, the Titan HN heavy tank, I believe it is. Now that should come right around the yo here, and there we go, the Titan HN, and we can see if we look on here. Now I'm not going to go into the stats in game. I'm actually going to take that to my web browser because I want to compare it next to both the Smasher and the Annihilator, two extremely overpowered and broken tanks, and it would be a good idea to just compare them. So it looks very menacing. It shares some features to the not the KV2, sorry, that nothing like the KV2, like the Tiger 1, but basically only the turret, because the muzzle, everything's different except for the turret. Now it does have this weird spaced armor, which I did find out is supposed to happen and cover your weak spots once you've lost about 50% of your hit points. So if you've lost 50% of your hit points, they should come over and kind of guard from any heat shells and things like that. It'll be an interesting mechanic to see how well this performs in battle. I mean, that sloped armor does look like it would be a pretty good, or rather pretty hard thing to penetrate. But the lower plate you can definitely see is a little bit flat. But anyway, let's jump into the browser and actually check out the statistics of this tank. So I've gone ahead and taken the statistics of the new Titan tank, the older Annihilator, and the yet older Smasher. Now, the Annihilator and the Smasher you've probably heard of before, but still a good idea to compare all the statistics just to see what exactly we're dealing with and to see if the Titan is indeed overpowered. Now, I've turned everything off provision and equipment-wise. We're dealing with the raw data here, and mostly I'm going to be comparing with AP, but I will briefly discuss some of the other shells because the Smasher is more known for its HE anyway. So, damage per minute-wise, the Titan HN doesn't even have 2,000 damage per minute, which for a heavy tank may not be huge, but compared to the other two really broken tanks, it definitely is a little bit, it definitely doesn't look real great. You can see the Annihilator has over 2,500 damage per minute, which is just absolutely insane. The Smasher has 225 on the AP, and again, I'll talk about the HE in a moment, but still, 225 damage per minute is not bad. But the DPM on the Titan, however, is just not even, it's not even 1,900, which is not real great compared to the other tanks. Now, its penetration on AP is better than the other two, however, only by 10 millimeters when compared to the Annihilator, so you're not really losing too much when coming to the Annihilator. The alpha for the Titan HN is 310, which is kind of what we had expected just by looking at the muzzle brake before. The Annihilator does have 210 alpha, however, you have to realize that that's 3 shots. So multiply that by 3. That's really the alpha if you get all of the shots in. Smasher, of course, is going to have the highest. It's a 152 millimeter gun, I believe. But yeah, it's going to have the highest regardless. So you can't really measure how good a tank is based on that statistic alone. Now, rate of fire is actually the best for the Annihilator. It's lowest for the Smasher, unsurprisingly, but you can see there it's 5.96 for the Titan, so it's kind of right in the middle there. Shell burst doesn't. I'm not really going to talk about the super nitty-gritty statistics, but caliber, again, it kind of goes with it. It's only an 80 cal on the Annihilator. It's 105 cal on the Titan. And like I said, it's 152 on the Smasher. So Smasher, just big gun. It looks like the Titan is going to be, honestly, a little bit more balanced in everything but armor, is what it seems. Shell velocity is definitely better on the Titan than the Smasher, but still, even the Annihilator has upped both of them up with the highest shell velocity. Now let's check the APCR just over the main things here, because one thing to note is Smasher does not have APCR. It only has heat as its premium round, so you kind of have to keep that in mind. Again, the damage per minute is the same, just a little bit, same kind of spread, just a little bit lower for each tank. Penetration values are actually the same between the Smasher and the Titan, but again, remember, the Smasher has heat, which generally has more penetration anyway. Beyond that, the reloads are, of course, going to be the same. Shell velocity is actually, it's higher for each one, but still, it's not anything special when it comes to the Titan tank, because it's still got quite a bit less than the Annihilator. Now let's look at the HE. Of course, this Smasher, when it comes to HE, HE is going to be its home, because that's where its damage per minute is going to push over 3,000. That's just ridiculous. I had no idea it was that high. That's just stupid, and you can penetrate most things with that HE. Yeah. But anyway, the damage per minute on the Titan, if you were to just constantly spam HE and somehow penetrate every single one, would be over 2,000 finally. That's still not real great, though. The Annihilator, if you were to penetrate HE all the time, would be almost 3,000. And like I said, with the Smasher, which, if you're going against light tanks, you could probably land in HE in most things, and you're going to have ridiculous damage per minute. Now, I will say some things that you could do to fix the Titan's damage per minute problem would be to enable the food options in the provisions where it gives you extra. Of course, that will cost you credits. And as well, you can use Gun Rammer, which will boost it over 2,000, but still, that's quite expensive just for that boost. I mean, it's a good boost, but still, when the Annihilator without any special kind of boost is already better, that's kind of sad. Aim time, you can see for the most part the Annihilator is standing strong, is the highest over all of these. The Smasher is lower on a lot of things except for the caliber and its gun. That's really the only thing the Smasher is good for. It doesn't have armor. Yeah, my guess, though, is that the Titan HN Heavy Tank is going to be best in the armor department, but won't be the best in the gun department, simply because I think the Annihilator has got it beat in terms of damage per minute, and I think the Smasher has just got everything beat with how big and bad the tank is. So, honestly, I'm not really sure what I think about the new Titan tank. I will try to get it and do a review on it, because once you have a tank, it's a lot easier to figure out the nuances or what's interesting about it. Because, I mean, if you look at it, the Smasher doesn't seem to have too much going for it, but we all know it is an absolutely broken tank. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It doesn't look like it's going to be super broken, but we'll just have to wait and see what the armor looks like, because for all we know, that may be the very thing that makes this overpowered, not so much the gun, but just the armor. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. And so with that, I hope y'all enjoyed, and as always, have fun, good luck, and happy tanking.